to welcome everyone to this Paramount Plus Pitch on Demand webinar. I'm Miriam Stein, the SPA Industry Program Manager, and I'm excited to welcome Daniel Monahan, Paramount Senior Vice President of Content and Programming. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Thanks.
Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today. For me, it's Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to elders, past and present, and like to welcome any First Nations people today on our Zoom. A little bit about Daniel. Daniel is Paramount Senior Vice President of Content and responsible for the development and execution of programming strategies for Paramount's suite of content platforms, which includes Network 10, 10 Play, and Paramount Plus. And as a member of Paramount Australia and New Zealand's senior management, Daniel works with all areas of business to maximise the strategic direction of the company and maximise growth in ratings, reach, and revenue. So tell me, Daniel, tell me a little bit about Paramount Australia and working across all the areas of the business. Daniel?
Did I freeze there for a second?
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
Do you want me to ask that question again?
Yes, I don't know. Was it,
what the hell did she ask me? I was doing an introduction and I was talking about how you, as the...
I got to the part where you said maximize growth in ratings, and that's
okay.
Enough.
That's it. Okay, and then the question is, tell me about how you work across the whole business and your role and working with the various teams.
Yeah, so most of you know that we've got co-leads in the business, and one of them is Beverly McGarvey. She's the EVP of the business and also the Chief Content Officer, responsible for all entertainment, news and sport, amongst many other responsibilities as the leader. And for me, as looking after content and programming across the platforms, we commission, acquire for everything. We obviously have really good pipelines for both 10, our pay channels, but actually all of our linear channels and pay channels, and Paramount Plus. We have great pipeline because we're owned by Paramount, formerly Viacom CBS. So we get all CBS product, which is network. We have the deal with Showtime for Paramount Plus. We get all the MTV and Nickelodeon content as well. So a huge US pipeline coming through the door. And then outside of that, we commission local shows for 10 and particularly local scripted and a couple of unscripted shows for Paramount Plus so far. And then we work out, then we also have the scheduling team in our group as well with the programming team. So we work out where to play it, first of all, what platform and then when and where and why. So it's quite a big, we've got quite we're quite a lean team, but we have quite big responsibilities across all those platforms and enjoy it just as much. So it's because we have quite a good healthy budget on Paramount Plus for local offerings, given that pipeline content is all US. And we have the Paramount movies as well. So it's about working out where the gaps are in that strategy on Paramount Plus and commissioning for there or acquiring, as it may be.
Who's specifically in the team that you work with directly? Who are the...
So I have the head of development, who is Yisum Lowe. She takes all the pitches for particularly unscripted pitches for all platforms. We've got Azar Marashian as our head of acquisition. She'll take finished tape for anywhere as well. I would just say we're one content team, so it's a one-stop shop for all of these. And then we've got all of our EPs looking after our shows, and particularly Rick Maher, who is head of drama, which is of most interest because that's where he is the front door for those scripted projects on all of our platforms. So they're the key people. We've got a huge team. Great, we've got a head of content ops and head of 10 programming, and then individual linear channels as well as a programmer for Paramount Plus. So quite a number of people there to go through once we get through the front door. But those are the best. Bev, myself, Yisam, Azar, Rick, and any of our executive producers are the best front door to get ideas and pitch into.
Oh, fantastic. And I love to hear that you have this healthy budget to
well, just it's a budget. I think sometimes there is a perception that when the streaming services launch locally that they don't have the budget for Australian locals, and possibly historically that was the case for some, not others. But we started knowing that with such strong US content. And British, to be fair, now that we've launched in the UK, Paramount Plus, we really needed to make sure that we were offering scripted and unscripted Australian originals for our audience as well, because I think that's the fastest way to grow and cut through. It's also really, speaking frankly, Australian originals get a lot of PR, and that drives it, a lot of subs, so that it works in everyone's favour that way.
Yeah, terrific. Can you talk a bit more specifically about the Paramount Plus audience, because that's basically our brief today? So who is the audience that the show that people are pitching to for?
So our slogan is, or global slogan is, a mountain of entertainment. So it is a broad sweeping statement, and it is a broad audience because of all of the pipelines that I've talked about. They obviously range from Nickelodeon, which is young children, and Paw Patrol is one of the most popular shows on the service. You'll be unsurprised to know that. Right through to the crime procedurals from CBS, the Showtime product, which is a bit more targeted, but often quite male. So it is a broad range, and I think our job is to try and find out what's at any one point or any one year is what's missing, so that we are targeting a demographic that may not be serviced on the platform, because we are asking families to subscribe. Particularly we are asking people who are fans of premium drama to subscribe. So in terms of the Showtime's a great example, when the content over the last and Paramount Plus that has gone quite male with the likes of Dexter and then Halo, we felt there was a bit of a missing opportunity for women, maybe 25 to 54 on the platform. We were servicing their children, their children and their teenagers, but not necessarily them. And that's why we moved 5 Bedrooms quite quickly to the service to fill that void. And 5 Bedrooms is one of the most successful shows that we've had on Paramount Plus, which has been great and proved that there was, an audience there for it, or willing to subscribe for it. That's why we commissioned Spreadsheet, just to balance out the likes of the Dexters and the Halos that were coming through. And we have the Yellowstone spin-offs, 1883, which, if you ask me, are actually much broader than just male. I think people sometimes think Yellowstone and 1883 are quite male, but they're effectively Dynasty, with a bit of a soapy element, but more guns and horses. So I think they're really broad appealing for an older audience, but perception is male.
So how did some of you've got these a great slate that you've announced, over the say the last 12 months. How did some of these commission shows come together? So I'm thinking, we talked earlier about Paper Dolls, which is not necessarily, you said Paramount Plus. It's again that perception of Paramount. Then The Last Kings of the Cross. You had 5 Bedrooms, Spreadsheet, 6 festivals. So there's this very kind of eclectic slate. So what's some of the thinking in the commissioning, of these shows? So
the first point is a good one, which you and I spoke about earlier, which is the Paper Dolls. But we announce shows when we go for funding. We haven't actually officially announced Paper Dolls, but the funding was announced, and it's announced as Paramount is our company. Paramount it's the umbrella brand that covers all of us locally. We do commission for 10 first or Paramount Plus first. But there is that windowing conversation of when does is a streaming show only a streaming show forever? Is a 10 show only linear and goes to 10 play and then never else? But our aim is to, with the right shows and the right brands, to say premiere something like Paper Dolls on 10 and then play it on Paramount Plus later, or 5 Bedrooms had a strong premiere on Paramount Plus, but as that waned naturally after 9 months to a year, then we played it on 10 for a broader audience. So there is a windowing conversation to be had across platform. But how did they all come about? Well, obviously our first two, which was Secrets She Keeps and Five Bedrooms, they were both linear products that we moved across. And then we just sought out a female comedy, which was what we did for Spreadsheet, just for that balance of demographics that I was speaking about earlier. And a couple of other projects like Last King of the Cross came through with such strong, I mean, the world is so addicted to IP at the moment, and known brands or known people or known stories, that The Last King for us as an Australian story, we thought there was something new on that world to be told, especially from John Ibrahim's book. So when that came through the door, we knew that that could be a really big splash for us. And we look forward, it's been, they've built such a great backlot, and I've seen the first episode now. It really is. It is going to be a strong show. So it's good to see that. I think people will be attracted to that IP. And then again, Paper Dolls is based on a story that we all know about, which is the rise of a pop girl group via a reality television show. It is something that is very relatable. So I think even though that's not technically IP, there is an attachment to something that. We have 10 as a platform to promote all our shows on Paramount Plus, and that's certainly something our audience will like on either way. And Six Festivals is a good one. Sorry, I wanted to talk about Six Festivals too, just because we were in early, but not at the earliest partner on Six Festivals. But that was another hole that we felt, whilst you have this strong MTV slate, we didn't have anything Australian in that kind of demographic, in that music, tapping into that music vibe that the MTV product has on the platform, and something Australian which came from Mac D'Souza. And when he pitched it, we knew that was something that we wanted to get on board with to help put an Australian flavour on all those MTV product that we do have on the platform. And interestingly, the Taylor Hawkins concert that was from MTV that's on Paramount Plus has just gone through the roof recently on there. So there is that audience will come if we make it, they will come. So I think Six Festivals proved that, and then now the MTV Foo Fighters concert has done it again.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah, it was. It really was, and it was a great show, and great support from the agencies up and down the coast.
Yeah. Okay, so now moving on to our specific brief for this initiative. So Pitch on Demand was created to give streamers platforms the opportunity to consider the gaps in their slate and provide a specific brief to Australian producers. So let's do a deep dive now into what is it that Paramount Plus is looking for in terms of this brief.
Okay, so I was quite unspecific on demographic with our brief because I didn't think it was fair to say we are looking for Y or we are looking for just female, because we are looking for, well, and I don't know if this has been shared. No, it hasn't. No. I'll try and not read it out loud, but we're looking for limited series. We want them to be original and contemporary. We want Australian stories that are particularly provoke immediate conversation. So we've always been at 10 a fan of being talked about. I think everyone is, but I think we've always had shows that people talk about. We want to be that. We want to be that conversation. So we want to continue that across with our shows on Paramount Plus, and I think so far we've done a good job of that. We want strong Australian voices, and we want any commission that we do to complement what we have from our pipeline content. And by that I mean the international premium programs that are either IP or new, like Yellow Jackets from Showtime is a great example of something that, if that kind of story, that unique story was pitched to us in an Australian angle, it certainly would have been something that we were interested in. So I don't want to say I'm after a certain demographic, because I think a good story is a good story, but we do need those good stories, and then we do want people to be able to partner with production companies that have a track record. I think that's the next part of the brief, really.
So with that, so we're saying limited series.
Mm.
We're saying how many? Are they hours, half hours?
Either or. I don't think. I think the world used to be like the world used to be 22. Well, the world used to be 40, and sometimes 260 if you're a soap. But I think the world at the moment is in 6 to 8 realm, be it halves or not. We can call it 6 to 10 if you'd like. I think that's what the appetite is from an audience perspective on a streaming platform. Anything more becomes arduous because there is just so much to watch on so many platforms and so many channels that it can get overwhelming. So I think our research tells us that people are into short bursts, and returnable or non-returnable. I mean, non-returnable pitches have always come back and said we can do a series 2. So I think a limited series is a good option. But obviously, if it's a smash hit, we love a returner because it's an easy sell for year 2.
Okay. And like we talked earlier also about these sort of, what would be shows? I mean, you've talked a little bit, but are there other shows that you would have loved? Like, I want one of these.
Well, I have trouble with this question, and I said that to you because you can only pick things that have been successful. Yeah. But international shows that I thought of that I think I would have loved to have and fit our brand is like The White Lotus. Is a great example of a show that I think would have been really brand perfect for us. Original, it was kind of dark comedy, looking in. And then in terms of comedies, I love Ted Lasso, and I would have loved Ted Lasso. I think that I know that took a while to hit, but when it hit hard, and that's a great story. That kind of vibe is a really great story for an Australian. In terms of the tone, would be a really great for an Australian production, I think.
Well, I think they're good.
How's that? I could say Squid Game, but no one truly would have done Squid Game.
Okay, and in terms of, you talked a little bit of, and this was right at the beginning, but in terms of scale and budget, and what are we looking at in terms of the finance plan too, in terms of delivering a show to Paramount Plus?
Do you want a number? Do you want me to? Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to give a number.
Give me a range. What about a range?
Oh yeah, look. From our perspective, like we will invest heavily. We will invest. And people are gonna hold me to this. I'm trying to think of what we've done from our end with all funding, back end, and rest of world handled by someone else. We could do like it's $500,000 to $1 million an episode. We could look at, but it has to be a really strong story to get up there. Yeah. And less if it's a half, like I'm talking about hours, but then you've got to get your fundings from all your agencies.
Yeah. And at what point is every show kind of have a first look at Paramount Global, or in terms of Paramount?
We always pitch them up. We were one of the first to launch, so it was harder for us to get that global conversation happening because we weren't launched in other markets. It's getting easier now that we'll be in 60 countries by the end of the year, so it is easier. It's not easy because they're burgeoning services in their own respective countries. So sometimes we'll look at rest of the world quite quickly, and then if we can't, we'll hand it back to the producer and let them make that part of their finance plan.
Yeah. And in terms of for this initiative, what is the expectation? Do you want there to be a pitch deck, a pilot script, or how developed or undeveloped are you kind of willing to take pitches?
We'll always take a script. We'll always take a script if you have it. If you only have a pitch deck, then you'll get a quick answer whether or not we would be interested in seeing a script. If we really like it, then and want to take it off the table, we could pay for development for a script, but that's not the regular occurrence. We are in that position now with a few people having paid for. We're in the development phase across the board on a few scripted projects where we are waiting for scripts, and we've done it before where it hasn't worked out. When we got back to that script back, we decided it was actually it wasn't going to move forward past that stage. So I think if you've got an idea and you have a pitch deck. And an idea of how you're going to make it or who you're going to make it with in terms of the production partner, that's helpful. But if you have a script, it will be read very quickly.
So that as you said right at the, up front, the production partner. So if you're not an experienced production company, is have that company attached already, or have someone in mind? Is it like
either or? But also it would be about your track record as well, and are you new, or do you have other what's the history of what you've worked on? So maybe that is enough to partner with, for us to help you partner with someone. Or if you come in with someone, it's always easier because it means that they like it too, and it kinds of gives it. And I don't mean doesn't have to be the big four production companies that make all of the shows for linear channels. We are working with much it's small, I don't want to say not indie partners, boutique partners as well. People whose focus isn't on 15 shows.
Yeah,
we've got quite a lot of that at the moment, which has been really exciting. And even just Success Tools, working with Mac and Michael Wren, it was great. And
are there genres that you don't want for this brief? Like, just don't send us?
Somebody asked me if we're looking for documentaries in this quick Q&A. And I'd say we're not looking for documentaries, but you've got to just tell us what the subject is and make sure that it has the cut through to hit on a streaming service in a very noisy environment. But in terms of genres, we're not looking for horror would have to be really good. It has to be really well made. I don't know if I don't think we're there for I mean this respect cheap horror yet. Like, I don't think we're there for the B movies. We might be one time, but no, I don't. Other than that, I don't know. Children's content we will definitely look at, but we look at that we have to work out again where that platform is, given we have Nickelodeon here as well. So it may not be for Paramount Plus, but it may be for Nick, or it may be for Channel 10, which is what we did with Rock Island Mysteries, which premiered on Channel 10, which is the children's show shot in Queensland, which we're going to series 2, and then that will be 10, then Nickelodeon, and then it will go on Paramount Plus. So
okay, I'm flicking through these questions.
Yeah, I can answer some of these.
Oh yeah, so Australian crime procedurals, is that a big
well, we're doing NCIS Sydney. That's quite a big one, but I mean that will be a locally made show. It won't be a all-American coming in and doing it for us. It will be a Australian written and partner with a local production company made show. So that's exciting. So that's happening. And so if we also do My Life is Murder on 10, which series 2 is premiering in a few weeks. That's another crime procedural that works for a linear audience. We don't have SVOD rights on Paramount Plus for that one because it's on Acorn, but other than that, definitely. When I say Australian stories, I mean Australian history is the wrong phrase, but something that feels authentically Australian. So it doesn't have to be historical. It can be very current, very contemporary. It just needs to be about Australians, made by Australians, about Australians. So I think 5 Bedrooms is a perfect contemporary example of what I'm talking about when I say Australian stories. It's not necessarily about something Australian. It just is uniquely Melbourne.
Half-hour musical comedy drama, by any chance? Someone's asking.
I'm trying to think. I'm not going to say no to a half-hour musical comedy drama. Glee was such a smash hit back in the day, and we're doing Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, which is probably not. It's an hour-long comedy which comes from Paramount Plus. So we've got the stuff on the books. It's just like, what is the story?
YA TV series.
Yeah, YA. So we haven't had a YA pitch that we pushed on with outside of Six Festivals. We haven't had a YA series pitch that we have pushed on with yet. But I'd love to see some YA stuff. There is some good ones that come through.
Yeah, and when you say YA, what kind of demo?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they're young and sometimes they're older, and there's everything in between. So
okay, so what is Heartbreak High?
So the characters, I think, are 15.
Yeah. So is that YA?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I meant.
Okay, that makes it easy.
That's what I'm talking about. And yes, White Lotus, the equivalent is Nine Perfect Strangers. I think White Lotus, yep.
Yeah.
And Yellow Jackets. Oh, The Wild. Oh, okay, yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Family live action adventure, someone else is asking.
Sorry, say that again.
Family live action adventure. So
yeah, that feels gentle. Like I think Rock Island Mysteries is a family live action adventure, definitely. So it depends on who you're pitching it at. Like, are you pitching it at the parents or the kids or both?
Interesting. Someone's asking about what markets you attend. Is it better to meet you, set up a meeting at the market, or set up a meeting here?
If you're here, we can do it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do go to the LA screenings and to MIPCOM.
Okay.
So we'll be at MIPCOM in October.
There's really specific here.
Yeah.
Parameters in the 80s, Melbourne.
I would like a story Bible in the pitch if you have one.
Yeah. Queer comedy based in Melbourne. Think Queer as Folk, L Word.
Queer comedies, queer is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adult animation.
Adult animation is interesting if it's really good. It's so hard with that, and you'll know this if you're currently making adult animation, which I'm not. But it is like, we have South Park on the platform. It's the number top 5 show, all the non-stop, like Paw Patrol. So we've got kids animation and adult. So we'd love something to put with it, but it's really hard to get. Like, the stories are hard. I admire you for doing it. It's a hard genre, to get right. Any ratings limits? I don't understand that question, but do you mean classification? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I did this the other. I was looking at this the other day because we would never ever have accepted anything that was R-rated, and we probably still don't want to. We don't accept R-rated content on temp, obviously, because you can't play it. You can play R-rated on streaming, and I was looking through what is R-rated. So, with respect, I think the word is soft R. So, which I get killed for saying. We don't really want R-rated content. However, something like The Staircase on HBO on Binge is R-rated, so it's not really.
Saturday Night Fever was the first R-rated.
Right. So
I don't know, that was R-rated, and in its day. I don't know how that's changed now, but MA 15 plus.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, Last King of the Cross will be MA 15 plus.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet was MA. That's it. So 6 festivals, and yeah, they're all fun. I mean, the bridge is unscripted, and it was M. So.
Oh, and that's okay. Yeah. I think we're running out of time, so I just want to say thank you, Daniel, for a wonderful webinar, and look forward to getting all these pictures in. Any final kind of words of wisdom? Any kind of tips for those submitting projects?
No, I think just looking through the common theme is what do we actually want to see? So get us the pitch deck first. If you have the Bible, attach it as well, and if you have to attach everything at once. But I think that the idea is the most important. At least you get an idea of whether or not we're going to push on with it before you go to the effort of having to write a script or off your own back.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
All right.
And, our applications close for submissions on the 4th of October. On the 2nd of November, successful applicants will be notified by SPA. You'll get a chance to do a practice pitch with us at SPA before you do your one-on-one pitch with Daniel and his team at Paramount Plus, sometime between the 14th and 18th of November. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniel.
And yes, there's about 10 questions there asking if we take features. Yes, we are. We've got 2 in development at the moment. So yes, we will definitely take features at Paramount Plus. There you go. I answered 10 at once.
Brilliant.
So thank you.
So thank you, everyone, for the questions. Thank you for being online, and look forward to getting everyone's pictures. Thank you.
Bye, Marion. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.